It's gonna be a scuffed day today. I am sick. I am very sick. I am ill.
I am too. This isn't sympathy for Caleb hour.
This is sympathy for Caleb. I'm ill. Help me. I guess Caitlin's also sick.
Yeah.
I think unrelated though, which is funny. We have unrelated sicknesses, but we're both very ill.
He texted me and he was like, "Hey, just to let you know, like I have a little bit of a cold. Like if you don't want to come record, like that's fine." And I was like, "Bitch, me too." Though.
No fucking way. Bro, imagine we just like stack on top of each other.
Oh
we
my
both
God.
get two different things. We just go extra hard.
I think I have a sinus infection.
I think I don't.
So sinus infections, as far as I know, are non-contagious.
Yeah,
and
okay.
so it would be me getting double.
I am contagious.
If we were in,
I'm gonna get you sick.
If we were in like July of 2020, we would be canceled for being in the same room together right now.
It's all right. I'm COVID tested and vaxxed and stuff.
Oh, I'm hella vaxxed.
Vaxxed up to the wazoo.
I am the most vaccinated that any one person is allowed to be.
I literally, anytime anyone would offer me a vaccine, I took it. This guy out in the back alley, he was like, "Hey, I got a vaccine." And I was like, "I'm already triple vaxxed, dude." And he was really insistent that this one was different. He was saying it was like the extra 2XL 2 plus, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he pulled it out. It didn't really look like a needle. It looked more like a knife, but he got it in there and then he sprayed.
I was going to say it was like a needle, but you had to like inject it into your arm yourself.
I mean, well, that's a different story. that's a story for another day.
Oh, good.
On next week's episode of How I Accidentally Tried Heroin. That was, don't know what.
That's literally trademarked. That was literally the McDonald's theme.
Caleb won't play any Little Shop of Horrors copyrighted music. Also, Caleb will just like blatantly just take from McDonald's fucking copyrighted.
You're gonna have to like bleep that part.
No, I'm gonna leave it in. What are they gonna do? Sue me?
Yes.
It'd be really funny if we got sued, because then that clip would just be, that would be iconic, honestly.
Yeah,
it's
true.
like, defraud everywhere we do. That was another copyright.
What is happening today?
What's happening?
We cannot have another Shutter Island episode.
That's what's happening. It's the sick day. Oof. What is happening today is we're talking about a movie, though. We also have a jank setup. We're not gonna address it.
I'm gonna address it.
We're not gonna address it. We're not addressing it.
Okay.
Roll the intro, please. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this podcast, the one that you're listening or watching to. It's called the Cynical Cinephiles, and that's because we're Cinephiles who are maybe cynical. My name is Caleb. I am very sick, and I have another sick host with us today, with all of us today, and that is...
Caitlin.
She's, sick. In many ways, whether it be the sick, like, "Oh, that's sick, dude," or like...
sick about
yeah. Or just like, "I'm very sick and I feel like death."
I feel like I'm playing
moment.
up how sick I feel just to like match your energy. I'm like mostly fine.
I'm not. I thought I had the internal debate today. I was like, okay, how sick am I? I'm like, I'm pretty sick. No, I'm not. And I psych myself up, and then I'm like, I'm slowly over like 30 minutes like, no, I'm not sick at all. I'm actually perfectly fine. Watch me. I'm fucking awesome. And I'm not sick at all. I walk outside, and then immediately your boyfriend, Toby, for new listeners, her boyfriend's name is Toby, he just goes, "Yeah, so your energy's kind of off, dude." And I was like, fuck, I thought I had it in the bag. I thought I was on top of it. Nope. I was, no. And then I realized slowly over the next 3 minutes of conversation, I'm like, oh, no, I'm very
It's also
sick.
because you used up all of your energy trying to fix the camera problem as to why we only have one camera.
But the good thing is it's at least on the good camera. So it's less, This is like episode 1, 2, Jen. It's a throwback, all right? A la how Glass Onion is, occasionally kind of references some of those older mystery genres and stuff. Like, the fucking trains.
Does your arm hurt from that reach?
Yes, it does. Very badly. I think I pulled something.
Now that Caleb has already spoiled it, today we are watching
Spoiled it.
Glass Onion.
It's in the title. We don't.
It's a spoil.
We should have to just put a different thing.
A whole different movie.
Yeah. Today we're covering the Beatles documentary, and then it's like they're like Glass Onion, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they're like, no, not the Beatles song Glass Onion. It's the movie Glass Onion. And they're like, oh, so the culturally relevant one? That's a surprise. Because no offense to the Beatles, Glass Onion is a song.
Yeah, I've never heard it.
I mean, you did hear it. It was the credit song of the movie Glass Onion. So quite literally, you have heard it because I was with you while you were listening to that song.
I didn't perceive it.
I have no response.
The worst episode we're ever putting out.
Yes. No, that can't be the worst episode. That was.
They haven't seen Enola Holmes. So.
The lost episode. You'll never know the pain we went through. The Enola Holmes episode.
I can't believe we watched that movie just for us to not post it.
We for nothing.
The trauma.
Literally. The things we endured for no reason. We didn't get content out of it. We just watched Enola Holmes. I still hear Millie Bobby Brown's voice sometimes. In my dreams. I can't escape. I'm gonna cry.
Should I give a synopsis of Glass Onion?
Yeah, so sorry for the goofing around a little bit. It's the sequel to Knives Out, and we did Knives Out, now we're doing Glass Onion. And since technically it was my pick, the way that we do our format these days means that you will do the synopsis. Caitlin's doing the synopsis, so do your synopsis. Yes, that's a good call. I'm gonna cry.
So essentially there's this group of friends, right? We have...
Really?
We have... It was Agatha All Along. We have... the other ones, and there's Agatha All Along,
Dave Bautista,
Andrew Tate, Paris Hilton, and
and other ones,
and a scientist.
yeah,
and they're all friends with this really rich guy. Surprising,
yeah.
And he sends out this like mystery puzzle to like invite his friends to like this murder mystery party that he's hosting. And for some reason Blanc is there. He just kind of shows up. And then debauchery continues because Blanc is like, I think someone's gonna actually try to kill you. And then the main what the fuck is his name? Miles is like, oh no, I have been an awful person for so long, and now I might actually have to face the consequences of my actions? No way.
Yeah. And then someone dies.
Yeah.
And the mystery commences. And that's the original premise setup, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the interesting circumstances with this movie being that the first Knives Out came out, made a lot of money. It was a mid-budget movie. People liked it. They're like, yo, this is great. This is cinema, dare I say. This might be the kind of things movie theaters need more of in life. And then Netflix, they're like, it's my time to shine. It wasn't even... So what happened, though, it wasn't just Netflix. There was a full bidding war between, something like a dozen different studios who are all trying to buy the rights to more Knives Out stuff. And they're all bidding. And, they're like, oh, yeah, a few dozen million, 100 million, whatever. Netflix comes in like, shit, 400 million. Everyone else is like, what? Wait, what do you mean? The movie did not cost even like an eighth of that. Why would you, who would make that stupid deal? And then no one was even close to that. Like, okay, yeah, you can have it, I guess. Like, what the fuck? It's still, even this movie didn't cost remotely close. This was for 2 movies. They got the rights to 2 movies for $400 million.
So they got the rights to Glass Onion and then the next one?
Yep. and it's still just a baffling.
That is a
decision.
staggering amount of money to just be like.
Yeah, that's like two like Avengers Endgames worth of budget that they got. Like that is the level that Netflix like for some.
Thank you for putting it in terms.
Yeah,
Something
it's
attainable.
crazy.
Because you were like, I feel like rich people talk about money like so like because like obviously I know like 400 million is a lot of money. It is more money than I will ever see in my entire life. But like also when you're talking about like big budget movies and whatever, you'll be like, how much do you think this movie cost to produce? And I was like, I don't know, probably $900 million. Like I have no concept of rich people money.
No, it's just weird. And what's even funnier after that is they could have still like, despite one of the just dumbest moves I've seen ever, they still could have they could have taken it back. They could have made their money back by just letting it play out in theaters. Because they could have made that money back in theaters pretty easily. But instead they release it for 1 week in theaters. And also, even dumber, they released it for 1 week in theaters, only the 1 week. But instead of putting it onto Netflix at the end of the week, like any
Did they put it on at the same time?
No, even stupider. They had 1 week in theaters, and then they waited a month.
So then no one cared about it anymore.
Well, then I guess people at least got a resurgence on Netflix wildly. I was very surprised that enough people even watched it when it went on Netflix. But it was still like there was a full month when no one could watch it in any form. Like that's just the dumbest. Like they had like at least just why would you do that? Just do it right before you put it on Netflix, because then it's like the people watch it for the week, word of mouth starts spreading, and then there's just 3 weeks where no one can watch it, and then it goes on Netflix.
I bet they thought it would build hype, as if there isn't like movies getting released every week. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it was, those 3 weeks were dead weeks too, and it was if it weren't for the fact that I think the movie and Rian Johnson as a director is the type of director who he releases stuff and there's always fucking controversy. People are, no, this movie sucked. No, this movie is a masterpiece. Anything he makes will always fucking be like that. As he's the director of The Last Jedi, and we all know how people have opinions about that movie. So luckily it actually did still blow up when it went on Netflix. But even then, it's just like they could have made their money back. They could have, if this had been in theaters, this could have been a huge thing for theaters as well. But it was Netflix basically just like put out the stupidest fucking release plan just because they're like, I guess we can get it on a couple screens to maybe qualify for like Oscars. And then I guess we're not going to let them make any money, which also just is dumb from a financial perspective, because it's like, Netflix, you're losing subscribers every quarter. You're not doing well. You're bankrupt soon.
Did you see the whole thing where it was like they were gonna put a stop to password sharing, and then it went super wrong, and a bunch of people just decided to just quit Netflix, and then they were like, whoops,
that was made an error. That wasn't
a real thing.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing is they didn't even have like the balls to be like, okay, you know what, we saw the backlash and we realized maybe a bad call. Instead, they're like, no, that was made an error. That was never a thing. Actually,
that intern got fired.
Yeah, literally, that was literally basically what they did. And then the truth of the matter is, it was real in like a lot of other countries. Like in America, it's not yet real. I think in Canada, that's already actually been implemented. Still,
really? I
believe so, because I recall seeing that. I might be wrong, so someone can maybe fact check me if I'm incorrect, but. Yeah, Netflix just is kind of on their goofy shit right now, similar to us on this episode of the podcast, I would say. Yeah, but Glass Onion. So right off the bat, the first thing that I want to talk about is attention to detail, because attention to detail is one of the things that like Rian Johnson just absolutely... It's chef's kiss, right? And the very specific thing that I want to talk about is how everyone is wearing their masks at the beginning of the movie, because the movie takes place in 2020, and so the pandemic is in place, and like the mask order is out,
And so before they go to the island, they're all meeting on a different like dock to like prepare. And the way that each character is wearing their masks is such an important like a testament to their character, because you have like the scientist character who is wearing his medical mask, his medical grade mask. You have the governor who is like wearing her mask. Like it's a cloth mask underneath her nose.
Yeah, it keeps just falling underneath her nose. It's just kind of like leaving it there.
You have the partier. I can't remember anyone's name. So
Birdie, I think is her name.
Yeah. And she's wearing actually just a lace mask. Like there's
nothing protected.
And then Andrew Tate.
He just comes in guns blazing.
He's
literally.
Just not wearing a mask.
He comes in shooting a gun with no mask.
Yeah. And then DeBlanc is just wearing a cloth mask. Just
perfectly.
Normal.
Yeah. Wholesome stuff.
Yeah.
I also love how then Ethan Hawke randomly shows up for like 20 seconds and then he just gives them whatever weird vaccine or something. Yes. And then Blanc's just like, what?
I really thought that was going to get explained later what that was. Was it just like a 20 seconds of this is why the rest of the movie no one's wearing a mask?
I think it kind of was. I think if I were to guess, it's not even like anything actually. It's just a way to like it was probably not even an actual medicine or anything. It was probably just like a placebo thing that he was using.
It was just like a cough drop that they just shoved into the back of their throats.
Yeah, probably. Oh man. The funniest thing about Ethan Hawke's cameo there to me though is that I'm pretty sure it was either in like the trailer or like one of the original posters or something. They like marketed Ethan Hawke as like an actual star of the movie.
Did they really?
Yeah, I think it was actually in the first like teaser trailer that his name popped up along the list of the other stars. It's like, and Ethan Hawke. I didn't even recognize him in the movie until the credits were rolling, and I was like, wait, wasn't Ethan Hawke supposed to be in here? And then I see him in the credits, and I'm like, wait, where? And then it took me until afterwards when I looked it up, and I was like, oh my god, he was that dude. I didn't even recognize him. Fuck me. Because, it was wacky. But no, I agree 100%. It does such a good job at immediately characterizing all of them.
Yes.
So just distinctively. And I also think in terms of things that take place during the pandemic, this is like probably one of the only things I've seen that does it without being fucking cringe.
Yeah.
Like really, I mean, I don't know. I think it very naturally took that setting and everything, and
no, it did a great job with it.
Yeah, honestly.
I want to talk about Klear With A K.
Every clear begins with K. Another time we get copyrighted.
So for those who haven't seen the movie Klear With A K, I don't actually think they ever call it Klear With A K.
I don't think they do.
It's just Klear. Is supposed to be like the most innovative renewable energy source that Miles is like founding and like jump starting, except for it's literally just hydrogen gas, which is so fucking flammable.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things you learn in like Gen Chem. It's like hydrogen gas is so fucking flammable.
It is a no.
Yeah.
Do not use it. And then everyone knows that it's flammable, but Miles is like, shit, but I think it could work though.
Yeah.
I heard it from my ayahuasca ceremony leader and I trust him.
Yep.
So
and so like there's the whole glass onion, which is an actual glass onion, which I do want to talk about in a second. The whole glass onion is being ran on Klear With A K. And it's so funny because there's like little hints at the beginning of the movie to talk about like if you didn't already know why this is a horrible idea, like why it's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Which is like namely DeBlanc goes into the garden to start smoking and he lights his lighter and they were like, no, shut it off. They were like, no fire in the garden.
Nope. No smoking in the garden. Please keep our water clean.
Yeah, but they say it's because of that and not because like the whole structure. But also arguably, I don't think Miles would have known.
True. But I think if we're talking about about Klear, maybe we should already just start moving towards like the actual plot of the plot.
Before we go to there, I want to talk about some of the controversy with the movie. and
Oh,
about
yeah.
the glass onion being an actual glass onion, and I want to kind of touch upon that a little
Yes.
bit. Because as I think we discussed at the end of last week's episode when we announced that we're doing this movie, one of the things that we said was about how it subverts its expectations, but that this one very specifically doesn't. Like the whole point is that it is exactly what it seems. And so if you're looking for a deeper meaning, you're never going to find it because it is what it is, right? And so I think that that's genius, first of all.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the best ways that that exemplifies itself outside of like the actual plot in the movie is the glass onion being a glass onion.
Yeah. No, I love that, because in the first film, they already kind of established this thing with like Benoit Blanc loving his absurd fucking metaphors and like loving to just take something as a thing and build upon it. And then I love how in this movie they give him the glass onion to work with, and then he immediately is able to start monologuing about the glass onion. He's like, I like the glass onion as a metaphor. It's something that seems intricately layered, and you pull it back piece by piece, more layers, more twists to the tale until you get to the center and you realize the answer was the thing you could see in plain sight all along. And it's just, it really does absolutely works terrifically at encapsulating the movie, but it does it in a way where, at least for me, it wasn't like, oh, it was just the thing. Like, it still keeps you, because it has those additional layers and twists, that when you get back to the center of the onion still being, you know, the thing you could see through all the glass, it's not unsatisfying. I'm going to directly call out M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. Fuck you. This is how you actually do the twist is that there isn't a twist correctly. I fucking hate you. Actually, down. That movie was pretty good. I just didn't like the ending. Anyway.
I get Guillermo del Toro and M. Night Shyamalan confused all the time.
That's fucking goofy. What the fuck?
All the time. I'll do... Because I feel like they're both like the two memeable like directors.
That's true.
And
That's
so
fair.
I'll like name a movie and I'll be like, yeah, it's directed by Guillermo del Toro, and they're like,
like,
no, it's
nah,
not. It's like, oh, it's
that was
the other
the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. Directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
It's like, which one of them
Everywhere we go.
features a lot of feet?
Neither. That's Quentin Tarantino.
Oh my god.
That is the third guy. He's the one who likes to put the N-word in his movies and then have lots of feet. That's his thing. Guillermo del Toro is the one who made the movie about the guy about like fucking a fish, you know, and then that got like an Oscar, and he like is just loved by the Oscars, and he makes some movies. And then M. Night Shyamalan is the one who makes who has like a big twist at the end of his movies. And he's known for twists and
Who
bad
did
dialogue.
Crimson Peak?
Fuck, probably Guillermo del Toro, because I can't think of one.
I think so.
Probably. I genuinely can't remember. I think, wait, was that the movie we watched?
Yeah.
Yeah, then it was Guillermo del Toro, because that was the vampire one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas,
yeah.
Well, it wasn't, but it was.
Well, yeah.
It was the weird ghost one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that was not vampire. Yeah, I guess they weren't. Or were they? No,
they weren't
yeah,
vampires.
They weren't. They just had vampire energy.
Yeah.
I forgot most of that movie. It was a weird movie.
I liked it in concept.
Yes.
It was not a good movie.
I did not care for it that much, to be honest.
But I love Tom Hiddleston, so.
That's fair. I love... Yes.
Jesus Christ. I need to leave. I need to go home.
Okay, but now that we've established the whole, the truth is the thing that you could see all along, it was the obvious answer and everything, I think now we can actually talk about, like, the bulk of the movie being the twists, the subversions, the surprises, and stuff. I don't know if you want to kind of summarize some of that.
Well, I don't know character names.
Okay,
so
fair
you're
enough.
gonna need to help me. So
all right.
There is Helen's sister. I remember Helen's name.
Yeah, Helen is the
sister of
Angie, right? Or Andy.
Yes.
Andy.
So Andy was a member of the clique who she started the company with Miles, and the Miles essentially just bought her out of it and was like, but like didn't really buy her out of it, like kicked her out and like took her to court and
Had
like
them
the
like
whole thing.
perjure themselves.
Yeah.
And the whole thing.
And then Miles kills her because
Quirky.
she finds proof that she was the one who originally had the idea for the company, and so he said, you gotta go. So then Helen decides to she recruits Benoit Blanc. Benoit Blanc.
Who's playing Among Us in the bathtub.
Yes, it's so good. Iconic. She recruits him, and he's like, you know what would be really funny?
Oh, yeah.
Is if you come with us, because obviously the one who killed your sister will be like, what are you doing here? You're dead. And so they go, and she pretends to be Andy, but she's actually Helen. And then I also want to talk about Miles' little murder mystery game.
Oh, yes.
He like, Miles sets up this whole like murder mystery game where like by the end of the weekend they're gonna have to figure out like who his killer is.
Mm-hmm.
And Benoit Blanc solves it in roughly 20 seconds.
Like -1 seconds before he even gets murdered.
Yeah.
He just has it all, like literally as Benoit Blanc finishes explaining every detail of this murder, the arrow shoots at and like stabs Miles, and fake blood comes out, and it's just like,
it's so funny.
Fucking hilarious.
It is so funny.
Oh my god.
So then the other like major thing that I want to talk about, in addition to like talking about like the actual plot, is the end of the movie where Miles bests them, right? Where he's like, you can't actually do anything against me, because Helen finds the proof, finds the envelope that had Andy's original concept on it, and he lights it on fire, and just it's obliterated, right? And so she like asks Benoit Blanc for help, and Benoit Blanc is like, I can't do anything, but like, think about it.
Give you a little bit of courage and a reminder of what your sister fought for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she starts smashing all of his glass, and then so she smashes all the glass, and then she like smashes the bar cart, and then she lights it on fire, and it like causes everything to kind of go up in flames. And then to end it all off, she hits the emergency thing, because of course Miles rented the actual Mona Lisa, right? And
then it had an override secretly installed that wasn't supposed to, and then told everyone what the override was. Like everything that happens to the Mona Lisa at the end is entirely his own fault, because he had them secretly install that override, because he's like, no, because I wanted to be able to look at her eye to eye, face to face. It wouldn't be the same without it. And then he told, oh my god, sorry, anyway.
Because like his whole thing is that he wanted to be remembered in the same breath as the Mona Lisa, and so she goes and she does the override, and the Mona Lisa goes up in flames, and she's like, well, I guess now you'll be remembered in the same breath as the Mona Lisa.
Oh, tight.
It's so
writing.
good. But one thing that I wanted to point out is like the depiction of feminine rage in that scene.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of discourse recently about what is feminine rage versus like what is not. Because a lot of people think of feminine rage in the same way that they think of masculine rage.
Yeah.
And that's just not it. Like, masculine rage is, I'm gonna punch a hole through the wall and be abusive. And then feminine rage is like, I will burn you. And everything you love. She does. She fucking does.
Honestly. And it's some fucking queen shit, honestly. Because it literally, it's like the clear is his fuel of the future, Klear With A K,
Yes.
is now going to be known as the fuel that destroyed the Mona Lisa. Like it's just
So good.
it's very tight writing. I love the way that they intertwine all the Mona Lisa stuff throughout. I mean, they have him. He has the Mona Lisa. Then when they show flashbacks to them all at the bar, he talks about how he wants to be remembered in the same breath as the Mona Lisa, and then that comes back around at the end. It's like there's so many little details like that are so tightly written, and it's just like I have to just give massive props to Rian Johnson as a writer. Like oh my god, he is a master of his craft. And I think also I wanted to say now that we've kind of covered a lot of the basic plot points there, I think we should give a special attention to the actual way in which the film is structured, which is very interesting, being that the movie plays out for about the first hour, and then about halfway through it just kind of flashes back, and like the next hour of the movie is just the kind of like the same events, but with like the true side. Like the first hour we were saying was not the whole of the picture. It was actually kind of a little bit of an illusion because real things were happening. Because we basically, we've been with Andy through this first hour of the movie. She gets shot, and then all of a sudden we flash back to, before everything happened, and then Helen, Andy's sister, just shows up with the broken box and is like, hey, I need to get a Benoit Blanc, which immediately tells us like, oh, things were different than we thought, because up until then we've been under the assumption that someone just sent him a box with the invitation, and they've just resealed up the whole puzzle box together and gave it to him, because that's what he had told Miles. And that's when we also realized that him kind of being a little goofy and playing dumb in a lot of places throughout that first hour was all an act put on by him. I think that's something that I really appreciate about the movie, is like stuff with like Miles' murder mystery game. It goes to show just how intelligent Benoit Blanc is, and I think even though there's a lot of places where he'll intentionally feign ignorance or like play dumb, he's always actually very smart. And even after the murder mystery thing, that being like out of tone, right afterwards he pulls Miles aside and he's like, I did that on purpose. Because for these reasons. And I really do appreciate
But the reasons that he pulled him aside and was like, I'm doing this for these reasons, it was actually another, like, it's like
layers upon layers of him trying to corner.
Benoit Blanc is just like 4 steps up ahead of everyone at any time. And he did the same thing in Knives Out as well, where he knew the whole thing that had happened within the first 10 seconds of him being there, but he needed to know why, right? Because he saw the blood on her shoe in like the first 10 seconds of him meeting her, and so he knew that she was somehow responsible for his death, but he needed to know the why. And it's essentially the same thing with this movie, where like he has this whole like masquerade, like charade of him playing the like lovable like kind of idiot, because he needs people to trust him enough in order to like reveal what's actually going on, which then begs the question of who is Benoit Blanc actually? Because he's kind of always having a charade to try to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we at least get like a brief glimpse of him as he plays a Mogus. And he's also confirmed to be gay, which we stan.
Yes. We
love our gay king. But it is very interesting, and I think it's also, I loved on additional viewings of the movie how similar. It's like in the first Knives Out, I love a lot of his moments where he's very clearly mocking the people he's interviewing, where he'd be like, they'd be saying something, he's like, no, what, and you had the publishing rights, right? You know, he's like intentionally like fucking making fun of them right to their face. And on the first watch of Glass Onion, I feel like I didn't do, like, because you kind of think that he is going into all this very blind, you miss a lot of those moments. And then it's like on rewatch, you can see a lot of scenes where he knows these characters 100%. It's not like he's happening to meet them for the first time, and then you can catch some of his mocking tone in a lot of places, and it's just so excellently done, because you get it, like you just get to see this other side to him, and it frames that whole first hour of the movie very differently once you know it's actually happening. And then also, I think that retreading of a lot of the same events, like going back through on that second hour, make funny moments even funnier. specifically one of my favorite shots or moments from the whole movie is Dave Bautista when he's watching his girlfriend cheat on him with Miles. He's like, at first it's already just funny just watching him be like, no, as he's watching them like sleep together. And then originally in the first hour of the movie, then as he's like in pain, it shows like Blanc just like peeking out from behind a tree, also watching him watch his girlfriend cheat on him. And then later in the movie, it goes back to that shot and it shows that Helen was also there. So then it's like Blanc peeks out and then she peeks out and they're both watching him watch his girlfriend cheat on him with Miles.
But also it was like
funny.
his girlfriend was cheating on him, but like not really, because he was making her sleep with Miles to try to get like more, because he was essentially pimping her out to Miles.
Yeah.
To get Miles to agree to put him on the Alpha News.
Yeah. But he was just like, nah.
So
fam.
when he was like, no, it's because it's not because he didn't know that like Whiskey was cheating on him. It's that he had said
but I
no.
think that we get that more on the second view, or the second time we see that.
Yeah.
The first time
the first time you assume
yeah.
that he's like no, but like on the
then we get it on
you
the
get more
second
perspective
time it goes through,
because then you can hear Whiskey and Duke talk to each other, and he's like, come on, just one more time, because Whiskey also fucking hates Miles. Everyone hates Miles.
Yeah. And honestly, poor Whiskey. I mean, she's at least out of the group, she's probably one of the least bad ones, I would say. Like, she at least shows empathy to Helen, who she thinks is Andy at that one point, where she's like, man, I'm sorry, that shit was like fucked up, honestly.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I'm just here to like get what I need, and then I'm getting out, you know what
right.
I mean? And I'm like, I respect it. Like, it's just I love the usage of those, like the second hour to just like completely change.
Because you would think it would be boring watching the same thing that you already watched, but you're not watching the same thing even though you are.
It's so very different, and I also think it's really incredible that they managed to do like a kind of like twin plot line without it feeling like a stupid twist or something. Because I feel like that's like one of those like twists that people will like specifically point to as like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, oh, she has an evil or a secret twin, and that's the twist. But I feel like it doesn't. It plays it in a way where that works. It works for it, because then it's like you're realizing that the mystery that they were trying to solve was different all along. Like, I know a lot of people criticize the movie, which I think is stupid. They're like, oh, there's no murder until like an hour into the movie. Like, this is a murder mystery movie, and there's not even a murder for the first hour. Oh my God, how will I ever be able to sit through such a boring movie? At Ben Shapiro.
Did he really?
Oh, I should pull that tweet thread up after I'm finished with this. I forgot what I was even saying, but yes, no, but it's interesting because then they show Dave Bautista's character get murdered, and then after we pull back an hour earlier, we find out that Dave Bautista's whole thing was not the actual murder that the film is about. There was another murder that took place before everything. So the mystery we thought we needed to solve was different than what we had thought. You know, I think that's really interesting.
I think that's super interesting as well.
Yeah.
I also love the idea that like, so Miles is such a fucking idiot because he stole all of his ideas from Andy that like he can't think of like any good way to like murder people. So he just like gives Duke pineapple juice, which would be smart if it wasn't just like so dumb.
Yeah, 'cause the autopsy would just like show that he had pineapple.
Right.
I mean, I guess then again, it would probably come out that they could probably spin it as an accident, maybe. But it's also what I love is that the movie also plays on your own perception of things, and they like know that you're not paying like 100% attention, because they show you blatantly in the movie. They show him handing the glass to Dave Bautista, like fully show him handing the glass. But then after everything happens, and he's like, oh. He picked up my glass. And then they show a fake flashback of him picking up the glass instead of taking it from Miles. And then not only the characters in the movie, but we as the audience also remember it that way. I think that's really cool. And on top of that, the amount of things throughout the murder of, I can't remember, I wish I could remember Dave Bautista's characters. Duke, right. Throughout Duke's whole murder sequence, it's all shown fully. Like we see the pineapple juice get poured originally. We see him hand him the glass. And more than that, the thing that I was, especially on this viewing, I was just baffled by is the fact that he has his phone. Like Miles is just like has his phone sticking out of his pocket that whole sequence. And they make a point early in the movie of being that he doesn't have a phone. And then throughout this whole scene, they're all looking for his phone because it keeps dinging off. And they're like, where is it? I keep hearing it ding. And they're like, it should be around here. And this whole, like, minutes of this sequence, you could just see it sticking out of his pocket. And like, they're like, it just shows it fully to you, but you don't catch that shit. And that's just, like, that's crazy to me.
That is insane.
Like, oh my God, it's just
I love shit like that, though.
Honestly,
like, that is, I wish there was more, like, movies like that, where it's like...
No, it's I saw one review of the movie that was like it makes the audience feel kind of dumb at parts, and that's awesome. And I'm like, honestly, yeah, because it's like shit like that where it's literally just fully shown to you, and then you still don't quite like catch a lot of it because you're not going to be looking at every individual detail or like paying attention to intricacies like that. But I think that is a really cool effect to be able to just show everything and then have fake flashbacks to trick you into remembering things differently. Like that's just such a fun
because as soon as you see a flashback you assume it's the truth because that's typically how storytelling works. Like Jesus Christ. Like in any like crime show that the moment that they like for Psych, for example, right? Yeah. So if you're like trying to solve like the mystery in an episode of Psych, you're like, oh, well, there's no flashback, so that's not what happened, right? And then as soon as they show the flashback, you're like, oh, Sean's got it. He's figured it out.
Solution achieved.
But like as an audience, we're just so accustomed to like having to believe the flashbacks. Yeah,
and I think it does a really good job of putting you in the shoes of each of the characters in the movie as well, because they all also have the same effect where like they remember it differently because he led their memories differently. Like he told them it was a certain way and they couldn't remember exactly. Right. Or even that comes back into play at the end of the movie, whereas like none of them actually even saw the napkin itself that had all the shit on it. So he burned it and he's like, well, none of you actually saw it, so maybe she was holding something else none of you can say. And it's like it's just really interesting because you literally feel like you're along with those characters as they all remember it differently and you remember it differently. Right. And it works so well. It's so efficiently set up and everything. And now I want to find that Ben Shapiro tweet thread real fast because it's so fucking stupid.
I have a question for you though.
Yes.
Why? I can't remember what Catherine Hahn's character's name is in this movie. Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call her Agatha. that's the name I can remember right now.
It is Claire. Yeah.
Can we talk about why Claire looks so disheveled the entire movie?
She gives that senator energy. That's all I'm saying.
She has aged 30 years, but she always looks sweaty. She always had like makeup under her eyes, her hair. There was a ton of flyaways like the whole movie, and it was consistent, so it works. Like obviously it was on purpose, but I didn't quite understand. She's
the senator, and that was kind of the vibe. She's just a politician, and that's the politician vibe pretty much. Which I also love that she's like of course a Democratic politician, but like all of her like decisions and morals are all kind of just rooted in what the billionaire who's paying for all of her stuff tells her to do. Yep. Like she's even talking about how like she's like, well, I'm fucked because like as soon as this shit comes out, I'm gonna lose all my goddamn backers because this goes completely against all my environmentalist policies.
Yep.
But she's like, well, I had to approve the power plant for Daddy Miles. They're sucking on that golden teat.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to track down. Oh, here we go. Oh God. So this is like, it's bad. This is the stupidest thing you will hear in a while. So Ben Shapiro, because he's known for his really good
takes
on movies as
on
well.
Everything.
On anything. Yeah. he was a failed screenwriter who had tried to write multiple different TV pilots and films before becoming a political commentator. Did not work out. I wonder if it was because the comedy he tried writing wasn't funny. I wonder. But yeah, let's listen to what he has to say. I regret to
Please do.
No, I wish I could. I don't think I could do it justice. Just imagine that this isn't a really obnoxious voice. I'm too sick to
do it in your Tucker Carlson voice.
I don't think I can. Do my expression. I can't. I regret to inform you that Glass Onion is actively bad. And we'll discuss the actual writing of the movie, followed by the politics of it. Both suck. Spoilers follow. First, the writing. The first half of the movie is a complete misdirect and a waste of time. We only find out about the actual murder we're supposed to investigate 1 hour and 10 minutes into the film, as well as an entirely new backstory. Miles never invited Blanc. Andy has a twin sister masquerading as her, and we're actively deceived by the writer. Now, why the misdirect? Because the story itself is... because the story itself... Bro, what? Homie made a fucking typo here. Because the story itself in the purest form of incredible laziness. That's the full sentence.
Wait.
I think he meant is instead of in. I think he meant to say because the story itself is the purest form of incredible laziness. He wrote in. Get good, Ben.
Get good.
And you're going to tell us about writing? Like, come on. But he says it relies on not one and not two, but three bad writing tropes: an identical twin, a comprehensive journal, and a moron of a murderer. You can write your way out of literally any scenario, give it an identical twin, which removes the need for coherence, a comprehensive journal which explains everything, and a moron for a murderer, which removes the necessity for plot logic. So instead, we have an hour of wasted time because we have to make up for the fact that the murder is obvious from moment one. Rian Johnson knows this, which is why at the end he tells the audience via Blanc that everything Miles Braun did is dumb. At the entire plot of the film. This is the lazy writer's way out. You know what you wrote is bad, so you say it's bad, and now you're cynical and clever. Right now, let's talk about the politics. His politics are as lazy as his writing. His take on the universe is that Elon Musk is a bad and stupid man, and that anyone who likes him is being paid off by him. This is an incredibly stupid theory, since Musk is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in human history. How many rockets has Johnson launched? And it's a foolish conspiracy theory to boot. How to explain his dumb theory? Bad writing, of course. Johnson comes up with a fake partner who's the actual smart person Miles/Musk cheated by bribing people. What about all the people who like Musk? Well, they're dumb and corrupt too, which means you don't need logic for them. It's more bad writing. So all of Miles' friends and supporters are still sucking his teeth because he signs their checks, but any of them could burn down Miles or Musk and reap massive benefits. Literally any of them. Duke would become the biggest host in the world if he uncovered the conspiracy of silence. Birdie would immediately become a famous SJW, wiping out any sweatshop problems. Klear would become president. Peg or Whiskey could be famous. Lionel would become a virtuous whistleblower. But in Johnson's bizarro world, taking down the most powerful and rich person in the world is something no one would ever consider. Weird, since he made a $40 million movie trying to do that. Which brings us to the final irony. Rian Johnson is being paid hundreds of millions of dollars to make 2 of these movies, so he is a rich, famous person writing stupid mysteries, pretending to be smart. He is Miles. That's the dirty secret.
I have so many thoughts, feelings, and opinions about that. Can I explain my thoughts, feelings, and opinions?
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Benjamin Franklin Shapiro.
So first of all, the funniest thing to me, one, is here is the point, right?
Yeah.
Here's Ben Shapiro.
Clear right over it.
Right over it. Number 2, the fact that he could draw the parallels himself between Elon Musk and Miles, like, you got so close to the point. No one said it was Elon Musk, but you knew, right?
Yeah.
Like, obvious.
It's so...
The point was right here.
I also love that he directly makes a point of being like, well, he had to come up with a fake partner for Miles because that would show that he didn't come up with any of the ideas himself. And I'm like, you didn't need to come... okay, let's look at Elon Musk's... right now he owns Twitter. Obviously, everyone knows he didn't make that. But let's go back further. Tesla didn't found it. He bought it. He did not found it, have any relation to how it was created or started. He bought it after it was already a thing. SpaceX. I believe he didn't found that either. PayPal was something he was originally known for. Didn't start PayPal. He hopped on and then hopped off. He also had his dad had an emerald mine that he used to be like, yes, that was a thing. And now he's like, no, that wasn't a thing. But it was a thing. He has not actually created any of the companies he is known for or that have made him one of the richest people in the world. So you don't need to come up with a mysterious partner to explain that he didn't come up with any ideas because he didn't found any of his own companies.
Right, like that's the truth for most billionaires.
Yeah, literally.
Like,
I guess minus Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Not that Jeff Bezos had the start of Amazon was good either, given that he got a big loan from his parents and there was a lot of nepotism. And then
small
also
loan of $1 million.
yeah, just a little bit, little smidgens. Your average wealth to or riches to rags to riches. Yep.
Like how Kylie Jenner is a self-made billionaire.
Exactly. It's just all hard work.
And dedication and
so much.
Off the parents' teat.
Nepotism, baby.
The other thing with Benny Boy Shapiro, is I think he like read an article about how like the glass onion and like the analogies behind the glass onion and why it's named the glass onion, and he was like, you know what? That's fucking lazy.
Yeah, he's like, that's dumb.
He literally like saw the point and was like, man, it's kind of like his politics where he sees the point and he's like, but what if I didn't have that take though? Like sometimes I wonder if like Ben Shapiro ever like goes home and writes in his diaries and he's like, I have something to confess, and then he like explains like liberal ideology and how he agrees with it, and then he like takes his pen and dramatically like
it's because he's just a grifter and he has to like connect everything to his own politics. I feel like also because he had his political disagreements with Glass Onion, he then had to come up with justifications for why it was also bad writing. And which is also funny because all of his arguments about that kind of come on this, like they come from this inherent assumption that like all movies have to adhere to the exact same rules of structure, and that like you can't like, he's like, no, because it wasn't like a normal murder mystery. And I'm like, was it trying to be though, or was it trying to do something specific? So what was the intention? Did it accomplish the intention? That I don't think you can say that it was like,
right.
It's just so dumb. Oh my god.
You're allowed to not like it.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to be like, I didn't get it, and so it's bad.
Yeah. It's so goofy, and
I don't know.
It's just he hadn't. Oh god, it's just cringe.
Ben Shapiro as a whole is cringe.
True.
And honestly, if he's watching it right now, like I hope, my dream, right? I will know that we have made it if we end up on like his like Ben Shapiro talks time, where he just like watches videos of people on the internet. And he's like, look at how cringy they are.
Well, no, actually. So, fundamental misunderstanding here. A man is a man. Yeah.
I fucking hate him.
I don't hate gay people. But
hate
also,
him.
I think that there's some valid points being made by the policies, and we, the American people, should have the right to vote on whether same-sex marriage laws are, depending on the state, depending on what the state wants.
Fuck you, Ben Shapiro, bro.
Oh, I hate him so much.
I can't stand him.
He's just the worst. No.
But he's kind of goofy, so.
True.
I won't say, like, there's certain, like Republicans who I genuinely cannot stand to see their face. Like anytime I see their face, it makes me angry, and I'm like, I can't. But like Ben Shapiro is one that I could like see the stupid shit that he does, because I'm like, wow, he really
he's a clown.
He really just said that.
He's just, and he's in love with AOC.
Yeah.
So,
he's like, Obsessed with AOC and his sister.
Okay, well, we're nearing the end of our time today because we're getting a little goofy. So maybe we should move to some more quote of the movie type things and
I have
stuff.
a bunch written down.
Hell yeah, I have not that much written down. I wrote. Where's my phone? Oh, there it is. I wrote a couple things on my phone. I didn't write a ton of notes this time around though. Okay, this is just a quote I really found funny from the beginning of the movie, where it's as they're all opening the mystery boxes and stuff, the scientist character goes, freaking, or was it the scientist? One of the characters. I can't remember who actually. So one of the characters goes, freaking Miles, man, genius. Even though he, of course, says later on, he's like, oh yeah, I hired someone to make those boxes. They barely got it done in time. Like, they're calling it genius despite the fact that he had literally zero to do with the production of the box. But they're, of course, all like opening the puzzles and praising his genius, even though he had nothing to do with it.
I like when they're like debating about like Miles and stuff, and they're trying to decide like, they're like, he's crazy, like he's whatever, and he's like, yeah, but did you see this facts? And it just says child equals NFT.
yeah. And then boom, made him millions.
Yeah, literally.
It's so fucking, oh god.
So the first quote that I actually have written down is, "This is science, not a religion." Do you have another quote, or do you want me to go again?
You can go again. I only have one other one. So.
Do you really? I have a ton.
It's a very quotable movie. The only reason I don't have a lot is because I didn't have my notebook, so I just wrote a couple of the biting ones on my phone, but I didn't have a chance to write more notes.
So the next two are both Birdie quotes. And so the first one is she's trying to explain why Peg has her phone. Oh yeah. And she's like, she's afraid I'll tweet a racial or an ethnic slur again. And then she later on, she's like, this can't Shazam. It's a lamp.
Yeah. Oh my, that was so fucking funny. I also love that was her little pod was that whole party of people during like May 2020 of the pandemic. And she's like, it's my pod.
Like this.
Oh god.
And then Duke doesn't roll with pineapple, which ended up being important later, but it just made me laugh at the beginning.
Duke don't dance with pineapple.
Yep.
Oh my god.
That's some real red pill stuff, Miles.
Yeah.
And then so like Helen as Andy goes on this whole rant about how they're all suckling from Miles' teat and whatever. And then at the end, Miles goes, that was so real. Anyways, dinner's at 8.
Yeah, it's so fucking funny.
It's so good.
Oh god. Also, may I just say, just because that reminded me of something I wanted to say before, is that when we were talking about how like the whole plan for Blanc and Helen to expose everything is that like the real murderer would react to her presence there like much more like knowing that she was dead. And I think that ages so much better when you look at Miles's reaction when she first shows up, and it's like he's like almost like crying. He's like, and like he's the one who's most shook by her appearance there. Right. And that's another one of those things that's like in plain sight.
Because he's also like the kind of thing she lived through it. Like
he also is like, oh shit, I just fucked up.
Yeah, right.
Oh, classic.
So this one is a Blanc quote where he says, it's a dangerous thing to confuse speaking without thought with speaking the truth.
Oh, I love that one.
Chef's
she's like,
kiss.
are you calling me dangerous?
And then DeBlanc also says, please trust me. It's all in plain sight.
That was my other one. Yeah, please trust me. It's all in plain sight. That one I think is just too fucking iconic.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
My next one is also a DeBlanc quote where he says, I'm very bad at dumb things.
Yeah, can't do Clue, can't do Amogus. Oh, God.
And I think that was actually my last one.
Okay.
I thought I had more.
I like...
But I like also how you can tell the exact moment where you turned off the lights.
yeah, the handwriting quality goes down.
He like turned off the lights. They can't see that in the middle of us watching it, and you could just tell.
Oh yeah. It got dropped a little bit.
So I think we both know which one quote of the movie is, right?
Mayhaps. Is it the one that I also put?
Yeah, the
Please trust me, it's all in plain sight. Yeah, that's the one I was hoping for.
Yeah.
To be honest. It's just it's too perfect.
It is
It
so
hits
perfect.
a little bit too perfect. So that is the quote of the movie. So roll that clip.
Please, trust me. It's all in plain sight.
That was the clip. Did you see it? It rolled. Or not see necessarily. Some of you are audio listeners. I don't mean to be ableist and assume that you're watching visually. That's my bad. I apologize. So final scores is the next segment that comes after that segment, because it's like sequentially we have in order to things sometimes. What did we give for the last one?
I think it was like a 9.5.
Oh, interesting. Was it?
I think it was like in the 9s.
That makes sense. I give this a 9. Yeah.
I give this an 8.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought it was so good. It doesn't hit quite as hard as the original.
There's no Chris Evans.
As the original Knives Out.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not just Chris Evans. It is Chris Evans, but it is also like the aesthetic of the movie and like the vibe and kind of more that like Victorian Gothic.
True.
That's really close to my heart.
No, that's fair. So that's
this was more like beachy and outdoorsy, and
It
just
definitely was a
aesthetically,
very
it didn't apply to me as much.
100%. And I think I do like that they're very different movies. I'll continue talking on that in 1 second. The final score is 8.5 for us in that case. So that is on screen now, and then audio listeners, that's just the final score. Anyway, to continue off that, I do at least really love that the two movies are so distinct. I think that's I want more of that. I think Rian Johnson's doing the shit that like we fucking murder mystery fans are craving for. I like that it's just like two completely different movies that just both happen to have Benoit Blanc. Although, and even Rian Johnson himself has talked about how he didn't really like this. I don't like the A Knives Out mystery subtitle. I think Rian Johnson said the same thing where he was like, I think a Benoit Blanc mystery would be a lot better. And I'm like, yes, please, fucking yes. Because I get why Netflix did it, because like marketing, but also like, please just do the Benoit Blanc mystery. Holy fuck, that'd be so much better. It'd be so much better. Okay, so technically this was my pick this time, meaning that you have a pick now. I think you're open to picking things.
Okay, so I kind of want to do something along the same vein of like what you did to me a couple weeks ago, where I have a couple ideas.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you choose.
All right.
Based off of very vague prompts.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
We have 2010s sci-fi.
Fuck that one.
We have an 80s camp horror.
Yes, that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're watching The Evil Dead.
Oh, hell yes.
Yes.
I love Evil Dead so fucking much.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, Evil Dead 1, I assume. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. All right, Evil Dead 2 is better, but
or if you want, we can watch Ash versus.
That's a TV show.
No. Fuck, what am I thinking of?
So there's The Evil Dead, there's Evil Dead 2, there's Army of Darkness. Well, Army of Darkness is like the third of a trilogy, so it wouldn't really make sense to watch.
Yeah, but I think you can watch it as a standalone.
Nah. Evil Dead, though.
Okay.
Although I would love to watch Evil Dead 2 at some point as well, because Evil Dead 2, that's the real camp. Because the interesting thing with the Evil Dead movies is that Evil Dead 1 plays mostly straight horror with like a little bit of camp, and then Evil Dead 2 is like full camp, and it's full Sam Raimi. And then Army of Darkness kind of continues on that and gets even goofier. But
or we could watch the 2013 Evil Dead.
I have wanted to watch the remake.
Horror.
I mean that. We should watch the original. Let's watch the original.
Let's watch the original.
And then it'll give me an excuse at some point to do Evil Dead 2 somehow. That's all I want. Someday to do Evil Dead 2.
We'll do the whole series.
That's the goal. Evil Dead 2, I would love to talk about so much. I love Evil Dead 2 so much.
So can I explain why we're watching this movie?
Yes, why are we watching this?
So recently I went and had a game night with my family, and kind of my extended family, like my cousins, and we were kind of talking, and like one thing that's like super crucial about like my upbringing is that my dad is like the biggest like geek in the world. And my mom is too, but like my dad is like the biggest geek in the world. And we were like, my comfort movies growing up were like Hellboy, Ghostbusters, and they were super important. And another one for me growing up was Army of Darkness. My family is huge Bruce Campbell fans,
as they should be.
And so it was just like, after spending some time with my family over these last couple weeks, I just wanted to kind of go back to my roots of like movie loving and watch something close to my heart. So
fuck yeah,
we're gonna watch Evil Dead.
Hell yeah, we stand. I'm excited. I do love me some Sam Raimi.
Yes.
Big old fan.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, if you guys are excited as well, then return on the next episode.
Or we'll be healthier.
Yes,
Not
we won't be
sick.
as ill. Maybe a little bit more mentally present. Spooky. That's the real spooky stuff. Being in your own body. Whoa.
Yes.
Crazy. Wild. But never forget that we're on all the podcast platforms. We're chilling there. We're living it up, and we love all of you. So, yes, keep yourselves healthy and safe, and we'll
take
talk
your vitamin C
and your vitamin D.
It's true. All right. Have a good day
or night.
Bye.
Or morning. I'm not gonna. Okay. Bye.